Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. I will ride with this group. Seriously, man. Please. And away we go.
Yes, the NFL takes are going to rain down here. I don't know. We got about 20 or 25 spare minutes, we figured. Let's jump in with some NFL schedule takes off the full release yesterday. This is our, it's weekly mostly. I know we missed a week last week, but we are full steam ahead here with NFL takes on Purple Daily. So who wants the first crack at an NFL schedule take? All right.
I'll take the first swing here on NFL takes. So schedule release comes out. Here's my take, because I love the videos that come out. And I'll say this. My take is I am simply taking the over on the Tennessee Titans for their schedule Rizzy video that they dropped yesterday for their NFL schedule release. So everyone does something creative. The Vikings did the tattoos. You know, the Chargers are the one everyone always waits for. They did like a Minecraft thing. I'll be honest. I don't really mess with Minecraft, but they're really creative.
It's timely now. It's timely. Yeah.
But the schedule Rizzy that the Titans dropped, if you guys haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's obviously a play on Sky Rizzy. It is a phenomenal video. They did a great job. And look, I know they obviously had the number one pick, but I'm gonna buy some Titans stock here. I loved that schedule release video, and I'm gonna buy some Titans stock strictly because I loved what they were able to do. I know everyone tries to get a little creative with this stuff here and there, but so instead of, when they always list the side effects of medications, they basically listed every team with like a little bit of a punch to them. So it was super funny. I loved it. I'm taking the Titans over simply because of schedule Rizzy. I loved it.
That's good. Well, who was the team that did that viral video where the guy did his morning routine where he wakes up at like 3:45 and he dunks his face in like 6 different times throughout the day? He does the face ice bath and he's doing push-ups. He's living in this ridiculous high rise.
The Jags that did that? Yeah, the Jaguars did the morning routine schedule.
And they had throughout that video, they had the different opponents in certain areas of the video. And I don't know if they like collaborated with him or if they just like ripped it off and now they're going to get, I have no idea how that works.
And did I see that the Colts took theirs down and apologized because they took a shot at Tyreek Hill? And so they basically said, we're sorry, it was in poor taste.
Boy.
What was the shot?
I have to go watch it. I don't even know. I just saw on Twitter today that there was an apology from the Colts. And the Chargers ripped the Minnesota Wild.
Wow.
They put up, first round ousters, 10 consecutive or 10 years of first round ousters. So just some strays going right at the Wild.
The truth cannot be controversial.
Amen.
It's only offensive because it's true. Yeah, I feel like now these teams are providing pressure on their like digital content creators to one up every year with a creative way to put the schedule.
I feel like this is
a lot of pressure on Vikings Entertainment Network.
Yeah, I feel like this is a fad though. I feel like it's going to turn now because like it's been done for like 3 years, and the Titans' original one with doing the man on the street with people having no idea was genius. Like the Titans were really really good. I feel like there's another turn coming though because it's like how far can you take this? But something else will replace it.
I will say I feel like the NFL, they've gotten too far away from the primetime special that they initially created however many years ago. There's too many leaks now. They're letting all the digital platforms like Prime and Netflix and the networks, or they're releasing all these games and you get to piece together. Yeah.
You're right, yeah.
Can you imagine if, all right, the NFL draft is going to take place tonight at 6:00, but starting 2 days beforehand, 5 of the first round picks are unveiled. And then the morning of the draft, there's 6 more picks unveiled. And by the time you get to the actual draft, the first 2 rounds are completely filled out by internet sleuths. Yeah, I would like a little bit more of a buttoned up approach to the schedule release. I want to be a little more surprised at 7 p.m. Central Time on May 14th.
What's weird about it is one is the network partners in particular are asked not to. Now, Jordan Schultz of Fox did, but they are told no schedule leaks from you, which in ESPN's case, I think was true. They don't leak things. But the other question, too, is what's sort of weird is, and I like it for our purposes, but at 7 o'clock Central, they release the schedules. So, like, the schedule release show isn't like, oh, I'm learning stuff. It's basically, I guess, if you want analysis of the entire schedule. But it feels like if you were to really, really do it with some anticipation, you wouldn't just put online, hey, here's our schedule, and now go to NFL Network or ESPN and watch a show about it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I guess maybe my expectations are a little off center. All right, Judd, hit us with a take.
Okay, we've been talking about this for a couple of days now, and I've seen their schedule, and I think there's no expectations here. But my take is this. I think the 49ers are going to be the surprise of the NFC in 2025. Mm-hmm. And here's why. We've talked about this. They have the easiest schedule. Now, this is based on 24 opponents. Their 2024 opponents had a combined win percentage of .415. We all know by about week 7 that becomes unpredictable. Like, teams will be better than we thought. Teams will be worse. But, look at the 49ers' first 4 games, all right? At Seattle, okay. At the Saints, I think the Saints might be god-awful. Play host to the Cardinals, and then play host to Jacksonville. And here's my case. I think the 49ers are a very well-coached team. I think the 49ers have built a good program. So, like, we see guys leave, and we're like, oh, they're screwed. They're absolutely screwed. Well, in football, that's not necessarily true. And if you believe, and Kyle Shanahan does, that Brock Purdy is the real deal, I think the 49ers' advantageous schedule, I think the start, I'm not saying it's super easy, but it's also not this gauntlet. 49ers have enough of a history on their resume. I think they're going to be the surprise of the conference.
So a couple things to add to that. So you brought up the strength of schedule based on last year's winning percentages. Warren Sharp did the math with more of a forward. He looked at all the Vegas win projections on the schedule for 2025. And the Niners have by far the easiest strength of schedule when you put it through that way. So whether it's looking back at last year's records on the schedule or the win projections, either one of those have the Niners as the easiest schedule. And on Kyle Shanahan, the last 2 times the Niners have finished below 500, the next year they've bounced back with 13 wins and 10 wins. So they don't stay bad.
Yep.
Whether it's injuries or they have to make a quarterback change or whatever it is, they generally don't stay bad. I do worry about the erosion of their roster. They just gave a deal to George Kittle, and he's getting really old by football standards. And, Christian McCaffrey could barely get on a football field last year, and they get rid of Jordan Mason. So there's a lot of questions up and down that defense and up and down that offense compared to years prior. But yeah, people are probably asleep. People probably thought, well, that was the end of that last year. But there's been probably 2 other times during the Kyle Shanahan era. Well, that's the end of that for San Francisco. Time to rebuild and maybe fire Shanahan. And then, boom, they're right back to double digits or 13 wins or even the Super Bowl kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, they've been to 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks in the last, 13 years? Kaepernick, Jimmy G, Brock Purdy. I mean, that's impressive. I know they didn't win those 3 Super Bowls, but I mean, that's impressive to overturn the most important position and still be able to be a Super Bowl team.
Yep. So keep an eye on the Niners. In fact, along those same lines, I'm going to give you 3 other non-playoff teams to watch out for. Now, I am not telling you to take your money and put it anywhere, but if you believe what I'm about to say, you can thank me later if you do take your money and put it in these places. So these are based on the schedules coming out. 3 non-playoff teams. The Niners would have made it 4 because they were on my list too, but we already talked about them. 3 non-playoff teams I think are going to make a jump in either get to the playoffs or be damn competitive. The New England Patriots have the second easiest schedule by the same metrics that we just talked about with the 49ers. They also have Mike Vrabel coming in, a complete culture-changing adult in the room. And Drake May showed a lot of flashes last year with kind of a disorganized coaching staff and no weapons, and they're adding pieces. They added to their offensive line, and you've got this highly talented highly drafted player. So coach, quarterback, and second easiest schedule. Keep an eye on the Patriots.
Definitely.
The Panthers. So the Panthers have the 7th easiest schedule. Bryce Young in the second half of last year was, by most metrics, a top half of the league starting quarterback. And their first 7 games on that schedule are against teams that finished under 500 last year. In a very gettable division. I still think the Buccaneers are a notch above them. But so you're telling me second half version of Bryce Young with a full season now. The first 7 games against teams that were bad or not playoff teams. And I'll tell you, a little birdie told me, maybe a little friend of the show who knows something about the Carolina Panthers, that there was a moment kind of in the second half of last year that the coaching staff and the front office, a bunch of new people, aligned on some strategy for Bryce Young that really helped push that offense to a different level. And they were beating the Chiefs in the fourth quarter at one point. They had, I think, weren't they leading the Eagles in a game late too, like late in the third quarter, and then they won some games?
So he's not a complete bust?
Shocking, I know. A quarterback can start slowly.
I mean, he was benched. I thought his career was done.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk. And then the next team I'll give you is the Arizona Cardinals. So they were under 500 last year. Kind of a nondescript organization team, no one really pays attention. If you look at, first of all, Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., they got some weapons. They've got really interesting pieces on defense and defensive-minded Jonathan Gannon as head coach. Here are their first 6 games. At New Orleans, home against Carolina, at San Francisco, home against Seattle, home against Tennessee, at Indianapolis. They could easily start 4-2, maybe 5-1 with that schedule. So look out for Arizona to get off to a hot start in the NFC West. Some competitive teams in there, but they should be able to make some hay in the first month and a half of their schedule.
How big of a sophomore season are we expecting from Marvin Harrison? Because that's the one where I thought he would kill it as a rookie, and he didn't really kill it. But that's also not, again, that okay, he's in his first year. The Cardinals are sort of have been a weird team. I mean, I could see him having a huge breakout year.
Part of it was like the target share. So Trey McBride he's been this revelation as one of the best pass catching tight ends. And so both those guys, well, actually, Trey McBride played in one fewer game than Marvin Harrison. So Harrison Jr. played in all 17. McBride did miss a game and still had 31 more targets than Marvin Harrison Jr. So Kyler Murray definitely comfortable targeting his tight end more than Marvin Harrison Jr. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some questions about. I think he's good. Like, he's a good receiver. He's certainly not a bust, but he had 62 catches for 885. He was a big red zone target. But to this point, Trey McBride's been the main target for Kyler Murray. Yeah. Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, Judley.
I was like,
I was very confused too. I was like, what's trying to happen here?
You know what? My bad. I'd like to apologize. I'm going on very little sleep. I'm sleep deprived.
Well,
we all are.
I made a mistake, but no, I said I like that. So conversely, who do you think takes a step back in the conference then?
I think Seattle. I mean, I love me some Darnold, but they said goodbye to 2 of their top receiving weapons, and I don't think there's a terrible team in that division. Kind of feels like the Rams are going to be Super Bowl contenders. So it's tough. That's where there's not like a doormat team. There's 2 divisions in the NFC and the NFC North being the other one, where there's not really like a really bad team.
Right.
It's like 8 really competitive teams with maybe 2 or 3 Super Bowl contenders mixed in those divisions.
Has it been the last 10 years that one of the 2 Super Bowl teams either like misses the playoffs or just kind of flops too? So is it Philly? I mean, it's kind of hard to count out Kansas City, but also like, are they eventually due to not make? I think it's impossible to say right now, and I think it's not fair to say that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs just take a significant step back until we have evidence of it.
I mean, I think any team that starts with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is like worst case scenario 11 wins.
It's hard to bag on them.
Yeah.
In the NFC, I will say keep an eye out, in my opinion, for Washington to take a step back. And to what Dex said about the schedule, Detroit is a possibility. Now, I spent the last 2 or 3 years bagging on Detroit and saying, okay, they're finally going to revert to being the Lions, and to their credit, they have not. But that is a tough schedule. But I think Washington, Jaden Daniels has been a guy who defensive coordinators, I guarantee you, have locked themselves in a room all offseason and watched film of. There's going to be answers that he's going to have to respond to that I don't think you saw on the fly last season.
Yeah. Okay, back to the Lions thing there. I'm gonna jump in here with a bonus take. Declan was right about the Lions earlier this week.
Thank you.
Declan took a bunch of heat from these overly haughty Lions fans on the internet for saying that we're all trying to figure out who the last place team is in the NFC North. Let's talk about the Lions. Not because they're going to win like 5 games, but now that their schedule's laid out, here's the first 11 weeks of the Detroit Lions schedule. At Green Bay, home against Chicago, which they should be favored in. They should probably win that game, but this is a much improved, better coached Bears team. Not a gimme. Division
That's predicted to beat the Vikings in week 1.
Yeah, they're favored, right? 1.5 right now.
They are indeed.
At Baltimore, home against Cleveland. Okay.
Win.
At Cincinnati, I know they can't really play defense, but it's a road game against a high-octane offense in Joe Burrow. At Kansas City, home against high-octane Tampa Bay offense. Then a bye week, followed by a gauntlet. Vikings, at Commanders, at Eagles. So in the first 11 weeks, they have 6 road games at Green Bay, at Baltimore, at Cincinnati, at Kansas City, at Washington, at Philadelphia. And then home games against playoff Tampa Bay, playoff Minnesota, and much improved Chicago.
Yeah.
They're hanging on for how many games is that? That's 10 games with a bye week in there. I mean, if you said to the Lions right now, 6-4, take it or leave it after those 10 games, I think you would take it and figure out the rest of your schedule after that. And it could be far worse than 6-4.
Yeah, I just look at the road opponents. And I don't think they'll, go winless. But if they only win 3 games, and then they have to win 3 games on the road, and then they win 7 at home, that gets you to 10. So, and this division is gonna be really competitive. So I think assuming that you have to win 7 home games is also very tough. Yes, you're gonna be favored in that environment. It's your home field, but relying on that number, I think it's just. There's too many tough road opponents for them. And yes, the Vikings, I get it. The main criticism I got was, they're playing the same schedule, but the Vikings at least get the majority of those tougher opponents against Burrow and Lamar. That's at least at US Bank Stadium and makes life a little bit easier for them too.
I'm sticking with this. Chicago is a complete theory. Yep. Chicago is my last place team because they're a theory. Like so what you're telling me is Ben Johnson is going to work immediate magic with Caleb.
You've always been down on Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know what.
They've improved look, and yes, the roster is better, but there is 0 track record here. So Chicago to me is the last place team, and then I take Detroit, the Vikings, and the Packers right now, and I put them in a blender.
Yeah. Yeah, when you map out even the rest of the Lions schedule too, it's like they've got, after the first 10 or 11 weeks, they've got, obviously Green Bay, home, tough game, at the Rams, Pittsburgh's tough defense, at Vikings, and it's not the exact same schedule. Obviously, there's 2 or 3 differences.
Yeah.
Right. Or is it 4, whatever it is, because the Vikings aren't playing at Arrowhead this year. Mm-mm. The Lions are. Right. So there's a couple, when you say it's the same schedule, cool. Except for the little difference of you have to go play at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
And that matters.
Well, and here's my question, because it's probably going to be an important game too. Is this the year that Dan Campbell's style of play wears guys down to a nub? Because as we talked about with Thor on Thor's Day on Purple Daily, that Christmas Day game, 4 days after both teams play, in the penultimate week of the regular season, that's going to be a just brutal game.
Yeah.
Like it'll be a fun game, but it's going to be a brutal game.
And the way you kind of phrase it, is this the year? You could argue last year was the year that his style of play caught up to Detroit, because they were down like 16 defensive players on injured reserve.
Good point.
And I think that was the main reason why they didn't go further and compete for a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking mainly, and they did have some injuries here last season. I'm thinking mainly the running backs too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's high time that unfortunately one of those guys is out for a very extended period of time with how they're used.
We should clip that and put it out on Lions Twitter. See, now they're coming after
they can direct their thoughts at Judd Zolgad and not Dex Sweet.
Well, I mean, Montgomery plays a style. He ain't going to be in the league long. Like
yeah, he's had a nice.
He's been in the league. He's a good player, but he plays a style where he's going to get eaten up eventually. Like something's going to give out.
Stella agrees too. I think
Stella's very upset. She's very upset. She's had a bad tummy, so I've been very nice.
Oh
to her.
no!
Yeah, she's had the bad tummy. I'm not sure what's wrong, but you feel bad. You feel terrible.
It's awful when a dog is sick or like not 100%. It is an awful.
But they grind through it. Like she still eats like it's fine.
Does she eat or throw up too?
I try and.
Oh, my dog doesn't do that.
Yeah, she can sometimes. But
Maya
here's the
likes
thing:
to have that meal.
I would love to have a team of Stellas, because I mean they do show up for work and grind.
Small ball. Small
ball. It's small ball, but I mean there's no. Well, she
it's
bitches about things, but not about being sick. Like she comes in, she hobbles into work, and she gets it done on the field.
Yeah, she's not complaining about herself. She's complaining about you, like her teammates.
Oh, she thinks
coaches or whatever.
She thinks Coach Pop is a moron.
You buffoon. So, all right, those are some NFL takes here on Purple Daily. Now that the schedules are all out, I'm combing through all of them one by one. Excited to spend my afternoon going through the Colts schedule, the Seahawks schedule,
Texans.
The Texans. Oh, it's always a good one. I like to save that for a little happy hour cocktail. The Texans.
Yeah. Obviously.
Some scotch and the Houston Texans schedule.
Week 18.
If you look at the post-bye run here, the Texans. All right, he's the sports dad. I'm Phil. He's Dex. And these were some NFL takes on Purple Daily.